taking a live look right now at Union Park. That is where the first major protest is taking place today as a result of the DNC here in Chicago. They are gathering at Union Park. They're going to have some speakers, and then they will start marching, we are told, at about 1:30 this afternoon. So all eyes on this area right now. But the police, as you have heard throughout the morning, they say they are ready and they are going to make sure that these people are able to demonstrate the First Amendment rights, but at the same time not breaking any laws. Joining us now to talk with us about this is former Secret Service member and founder for security firm, the Lake Forest Group, G. Michael Verdon. Thank you so much for coming in. So we've got this group out here. This is the anti-Israel group, kicking off at Union Park, as I said. Governor Pritzker has maintained that the city and security is ready to handle this massive protest we're expecting, not only from this, because there are more planned, but what has gone into preparing the city for something like this? And is there only so much that they can actually do?
So this is a national special security event, NSSE. They've been planning for this event for more than a year. The last time we had an NSSE in Chicago was 2012 with the NATO summit. And we're talking about federal authorities, state authorities, local authorities like the Chicago Police Department. So they've been preparing for this event, for well over 12 months. So they're prepared. Now, the only question right now is the scale of the protests. Will the protests be peaceful? Will there be violence as part of those demonstrations?
So there was some concern because superintendent has said that they are going to allow peaceful protests, but there's a difference between a peaceful protest and a protest which is considered peaceful, but is still blocking certain areas that they are not allowed to be in. Because right now they have this 1.1 area that they've been allowed to march. What happens if they go beyond that? The superintendent says there will be mass arrests if they do things like blocking areas where they're not allowed to be. We've already experienced this in this area with even the interstate being shut down. What kind of rights do protesters have in situations like that?
So their rights are protected by the First Amendment, and law enforcement is there to protect those rights. But some of the examples you just gave as far as blocking a roadway, blocking a roadway is not protected by the First Amendment. When you block a roadway, you're blocking emergency vehicles, ambulances, people trying to get to the hospital. And so by doing that, you're breaking the law. And then if you're breaking the law, there could be maybe mass arrest or at least arrest based on those actions.
So you were working with the Democratic Convention in 1996, right?
Correct.
So tell me what you learned from that you know is going on today. And let's also talk about the fact that I was also there in 96. It is a different mindset right now. Our world is facing things we were not facing in 96. Compare that to where we are today. Yeah,
so in 96, the biggest story in 96 was 68. And let's not have a repeat of 68. So now the biggest story now in 2024 compared to 96 is really demonstrations and protests. That seems to be top of mind with everybody. And the difference now between now and 1996 is these protests and demonstrations are way more sophisticated. There's organizations being bankrolled by special interest groups. They're doing encampments, they're taking over buildings. There has been the destruction of property. So the protests and demonstrations are a more serious concern now than they were in 1996.
And we didn't have social media back then, really.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Right.
We were monitoring the web to see what organizations were doing. But now it's like a needle in a haystack because there's so many different platforms to communicate.
So how tough is it for law enforcement to separate the peaceful protesters to the agitators that everybody is concerned about? How do you separate those two groups?
It's a challenge because you could have a peaceful demonstration. It could be infiltrated by just several bad apples, right, who want to disrupt it, want to do something as far as violence or destruction of property, and it could turn that peaceful protest just very quickly into a violent demonstration. It's a challenge. There's going to be plainclothes assets in the crowd. That's no big secret. So they're kind of gauging the climate of these groups so they could be preemptive if they kind of detect this thing could turn violent.
How do you feel overall about how ready we are?
I'll be honest, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because there's just so many protesters coming into Chicago. We talked about blocking like interstates. This past spring, the interstate to O'Hare Airport was blocked. 41 people were arrested. Out of those 41, not one was a Chicago resident. So you're getting that outside influence. These are professional protesters. So I want to be cautiously optimistic, but I'm also concerned.
Okay. Well, let's be cautiously optimistic and hope everything goes smooth. We appreciate you joining us always. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you.